Hi, welcome into my channel, Mindful Crime Couture. I'm Shannon. I'm a licensed mental health professional at the master's level, and none of this is meant to be mental health advice or a diagnosis. But today, I really want to talk about something that comes up a lot in talking about the Adelsons, and that is the idea of an enmeshed family system.
And this family is like as enmeshed as a family can get. Like you can't see the boundaries for anything. They're all just like one conglomerate. When you are in an enmeshed group like this and you don't have boundaries, something that happens is basically that you start to think as a unit. And we see that, we see that in cults, and we see that in abusive relationships, and we see that in gangs. And what this family closely represents to me is a gang, because they need to pull off certain acts to basically stay in the, in the good graces of the gang.
Psychological framework that I'm working under for this video is the family systems theory, which is pretty self-explanatory. It came about around the 1950s and was originated by a man named Murray Bowen. And basically it says that a family is its own system, its own organization, and that the family is best understood by examining the family as one complex, connected organism, that it's deeply connected and it's ever changing. And it's a collection of parts, subsystems, family members, where each member has a known purpose or function. So when you think about that, and you think about how does the Adelson family system operate, I propose that this system is completely enmeshed.
My God, ew, David!
One of the hallmarks or signatures of an enmeshed family system or an enmeshed relationship is that there is a lack of boundaries, or that the boundaries are muddled at best. So let's hear what Wendy and Charlie both have to say about Donna's relationship with Wendy and with the grandchildren.
I try to draw boundaries with my mom because lately there aren't any. She is caring for my children right now so that I can be here in class. More like a co-parent than a grandmother.
Yeah, there was a call where she was pushing them on the swings.
Taking them to tennis lessons.
That was the same day. I mean, that was the same call that got broken up, and she called me back. But yes,
doing their bedtime routine,
helping my sister out for sure.
Reading stories, brushing teeth, getting haircuts, going to piano, story time and bedtime, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All stuff that parents and grandparents do. You're right.
All the things that your mom wouldn't have been able to do as readily if the kids were living in Tallahassee. Agree with that?
I mean, when they come up to visit them, they'd be doing the same thing.
Sure, when they came up to visit, but now they're doing it every day, right? Almost every day.
Not every day, but when my sister needed them, she helped them out.
Because as a former kindergarten teacher, she is so adept in that role. She taught my boys how to recite the 44 presidents, just like she taught me when I was 4. I see myself in them, reciting, receiving praise. She has completely changed her life because mine fell apart.
Enmeshment within a family system often looks like children who are not encouraged to individuate, to cultivate their own dreams, and to become individuals outside of their parents. Their parents may not encourage them to follow their own path, and they will impose their ideas about who they should be dating, who they should be spending time with, and how they should be living their life upon them. In fact, there is oftentimes a sense of insecurity within the love that you are receiving if you do not conform to your family's norms and traditions. Then the threat is that you will lose your family's love. And that's exactly what happens in this clip from Wondery, the podcast Over My Dead Body, which I have linked below. This is Wendy's eldest brother. So this is the eldest child of the Adelsons. This is Rob talking about and his wife. You'll also hear her as well talking about their courtship and the interference that Donna and Harvey ran in Robert's life.
Charlie's the middle child, but Wendy has another brother.
I'm the youngest of 3, so I have 2 older brothers. They're both older than me.
All right, and he's the middle child, Charlie?
That's right.
All right, and are you closer to Charlie or to the other brother?
I'm closer to Charlie.
So I'm the oldest, and then my brother behind me, and then I'm 6 years older than Wendy.
And basically he said that his parents just couldn't accept him being someone who wasn't Jewish, and that he'd have to break up with me, that they literally said it's either her or them.
Was that explicit?
Yes.
So are these just empty threats made to Rob? Well, we know this was going on while he was in residency, and he is 6 years older than Wendy. She's 18 in these photos because this is her senior yearbook, the ad that her parents paid for and placed, and it says, "Wendy, you're the sunshine in our lives. All our love, Mom, Dad, and Charlie."
For someone like me who, was extremely, probably overly close to my parents, pleasing them, mattered a lot. Had my parents not put up multiple years of threatening to disown me.
Note the word choice that Rob uses to describe this time in his life.
Multiple years of angry, difficult phone calls, it never would have occurred.
Does your mom manipulate the personal lives of her children?
No.
I was very briefly married to someone else. I feel terrible for all the pain it caused anyone involved.
Here we hear from Rob's wife. Note in her language who has the agency and who has the control.
They came around and told Rob, we've decided that it would be okay for you to be with her. And they really tried. We all tried for a fresh start.
Before, you counted yourself as really close with your parents.
Yes.
And after, would you still say the same thing?
Less so.
But what about Wendy? It's been widely reported that Donna was excited about the match between Wendy and a young Jewish lawyer named Dan Markel. But the thing about such an enmeshed family unit is that it's very difficult to actually break inside of it and be on the inside. Because whereas Rob's wife was not Jewish, Wendy chose a man who was too Jewish / not the right type of Judaism. And here is a clip from the second trial where Wendy explains how there was problems from the very beginning about this.
This marriage started to fall apart, right?
It did.
But there were problems from the very beginning, weren't there? Right?
Are you asking me, what is the very beginning? The very beginning of when we got married?
Literally at the wedding.
There were problems before we got married.
All right, so at the wedding, and the government asked you about kosher law, right?
About what, I'm sorry?
Keeping kosher.
About keeping kosher, yes.
Right?
The government
In your
asked.
wedding, at your wedding was the groom's family, the Markel family, and they are more strict than your family and friends about keeping kosher.
They do not keep kosher.
Wasn't that one of the problems in your marriage, that Professor Markel was very insistent about keeping kosher?
About his kosher rules, but those are different than his family's.
So you're saying that it wasn't a problem at the wedding, that there were people from the groom's side of the family that were there that strictly keep kosher, that they were told that it was going to be kosher food, but it actually wasn't?
So there was a misunderstanding about whether the food was going to be kosher style or more in adherence with kosher law. There was a miscommunication about that.
So you had people that strictly keep kosher eating non-kosher food, which is a big deal.
That actually is not what happened. Danny was upset that it was kosher style and not strictly adhering to kosher law. So he was disappointed.
So there's problems right from the beginning.
That was a problem at our wedding, yeah.
So that's what happened when Dan was still within the family unit, considered to be one of them. Once he was not considered to be one of them anymore throughout the divorce, the further out the Adelson clan gets away from you, the more destructive the language becomes. We see that in Donna's emails.
Did your mom ever refer to your husband as an asshole?
Yes.
A bully?
Yes.
A zealot?
A religious zealot, yes.
A jackass?
Yes.
A religious extremist?
So going back to Bowen and family systems theory, principle within that is that there are roles and people play roles inside of their family. Those can be functional roles or dysfunctional roles. Here are the roles that I've identified for the Adelson children. In an enmeshed family system, you will begin to take on, obviously, dysfunctional roles. These are the 3 roles that I'm speculating the children took. The scapegoat, the hero/fixer/peacekeeper, and the golden child. These roles serve to enable continued dysfunction over time. Children are left jockeying for position in order to feel loved and accepted, just like Charlie tells us here.
Does your mom have a favorite child?
She says she doesn't have favorites, but I don't think she likes my older brother.
Okay. But is Wendy the favorite?
I'd like to think it's a tie between me and her.
So now we've talked about their lack of boundaries, the dysfunctional roles. Let's look at the issue of the system's expectations. Each family system has in it its own expectations for the members. But in a dysfunctional family, there are dysfunctional expectations, which in this family, they read more like demands.
It reads, however, the rest of your life and consequently Dad's, mine, and yes, even Charlie's will be affected by how well you can perform/act before July 31st. You need to be a good actress you can be a good actress when you want to. I've seen you in action. You need to put on the performance of your life. Jibbers hasn't beaten the Adelson family yet. So in this, again, your mom is referencing how everyone's life is being affected by this relocation, including your brother, Charlie. Do you agree with that?
That is what she said, yes.
All right. Is your mom overprotective of you?
Yes.
All right. And is it fair to say she's, a little on the controlling side?
I don't think she's controlling, but she's definitely overprotective.
Did she ever try to micromanage your life?
Maybe, yeah.
Did she have an interest in who you were dating and who you weren't dating and who you should be dating when you were single?
I think she was usually disappointed that I wasn't dating more.
I was valedictorian of my high school. She seemed proudest that I graduated high school still a virgin.
Okay. For example, isn't it true that she would not let you drive to and from Tallahassee to South Florida?
Well, I used to drive before I had the boys, but they were young, and she preferred to come with me and give me some extra support.
And what I want to draw your attention to is specifically the part that reads, your father has made numerous trips by plane for weekends and changing the patient schedules around so he can continue to spend significant time with the children. With that paragraph, isn't that paragraph going into detail about how the issues surrounding your divorce and litigation is financially impacting in a negative way your parents' business?
That's what my mom says here, yes.
Okay, and it also says, additionally, this loss of income affects my family because my older brother, also a dentist, purchased the practice from my father in mid-July 2012. He has a monthly payment to make to my father based on the sale of the practice. It isn't fair to him to have decreasing monthly income statements from the practice due to my parents spending so much time here in Tallahassee. So this is an argument that your mom is proposing, right, to help you, give you an idea of what might persuade the courts to allow the relocation. Do you agree with that?
Yes, that's what she was doing, yes.
Okay, and she's indicating that both your parents as well as your brother have suffered financially as a result of you not being able to relocate.
Yes.
Okay. And when your mom's worried about Wendy, does she come to you for solutions or to talk things out?
No, I don't think worried is the right word to describe it.
Does she ever make Wendy's problems your problems?
No.
Like convincing you to get Wendy to pull the plug on the house on Halloween 23rd. Didn't she convince you to sort of take up that cause?
No, that was actually me. I thought I shared my thoughts on home ownership for my sister. That was all me.
Didn't you say that if she had bought that house, that would have been the second worst decision of Wendy's life?
I thought it was going to be a stupid decision to buy that house.
And what was the first worst decision of Wendy's life?
Oh, I thought looking at hindsight 2020, I think when she'd agreed when she married Dan.
And did you convince her to take a particular job as well? Remember that call?
Yeah, she got an offer from a law firm, and she was debating whether or not she should take it. She didn't know if it was exactly what she wanted to do, and I was like, "Hey, you don't know what you don't like doing until you've done it. Seems like a great opportunity. Like, why not do it? Learn the job skill. It's a skill you don't." And she's like, "Well, I don't have that skill." And I'm like, "Well, it's a good opportunity to learn it, and you may like it. And if you don't like it, then try something else." But I was trying to encourage her to take what sounded like a great opportunity.
And Mom shared your thoughts, and I'm referring to Donna Adelson, shared your thoughts about this opportunity being a good one for Wendy, right?
I probably heard about the job from my mom, but I definitely heard about it from my sister because I'm talking to my sister about it.
Yeah, I mean, the job was not what she had any experience in, right? It was a whole nother field of law.
Then that was my point. It was like, well, why not take it if they're offering it to you and you can learn something new? It sounds like a great opportunity.
Do you and Donna know what's best for Wendy better than she knows herself?
No, but not at all.
Were you a spy when it came to Wendy? Did you get information from Wendy and relay it to Donna?
At times, because I was dating Bree, and Bree worked for Dave, so I would hear stuff about Dave from Bree, so I kind of had an inside. I got inside information.
Those bits of testimony really showed how Charlie, in his role of fixer/hero rescuer, was expected to change the actions of his sister Wendy in order for the good of the entire system. And in Wendy's interaction, we hear that Wendy's behavior is causing, financial strain/health problems for her parents. So these are the types of demands that the Adelsons had. And you'll also notice that dissent equals betrayal. So a lot of time in these trials, you will see Georgia ask something that would portray one of the other family members in a negative light, and the family member that's testifying tries valiantly in order to soften that or to make it so that it's not true, because they know that if you are not in, then you are completely out and you will be disowned, just like what Rob was threatened with so many years ago.
Was that explicit? Yes.
My final speculation on these intense demands are about the fierce loyalty that is required to this family. And I believe that this was one of the motivating factors, although there were others, for changing the boys' names. Because if you look at any other decision that Wendy tries to make, you notice that she needs to get all this advice from her friends and her family about, if she should keep dating Jeff. You notice that she can't even, make a decision on whether or not she should keep a TV or replace it without talking to Charlie and her mother. So this is a huge decision, changing the children's names. She crowdsourced her family for their opinions on this, and they definitely had some strong opinions.
Did you change their legal names about a month or so after the murder?
No, not a month or so after the murder, no.
Okay. When was it done? Even sooner than that?
No, absolutely not. When I tried to put my children in school and their faces had been unblurred on CNN and all across social media.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if you'll answer my question is, when were the boys' names changed?
The boys' names were changed after I wrote a letter to Danny's family explaining why I was changing their names.
When were their names
About
changed?
a year after.
Okay, and that was when they were legally changed, July 6, 2015?
I don't
Does that
remember
right?
the date, but if you have it, that sounds correct.
Okay, so they were legally changed on that date, but just a month or so after the murder, when you were enrolling them in school, is when they effectively had their names changed.
That is not true.
And what did you change their names from and to?
I changed their last name from their father's last name to mine.
From Markel to Adelsons.
That is correct.
And did you also drop the middle name of one of your boys that was a tribute to his paternal side?
It was a tribute to both families.
Did you drop it?
I did. I lost an honor to both families that day, yes.
So we've talked about a lot, but let's talk about how it feels to exist within the system. It's almost like walking into a giant spider web. You can't even tell all the places that thing has stuck to you. You are guilted or shamed for any less contact or diminishing contact with the unit. The most complete and perfect example of this is when Donna is caught on hot mic after her phone call with Charlie is disconnected, but somehow her phone stays on.
We need us to babysit. So we've been really good nannies, and I guess our job is up. Because now the boys are older, they can go out with friends, they can do things on their own. So she doesn't need grandma and grandpa. Okay, pretty hurtful. I have one son that I don't speak with. I have one son who's close to being dead. And my daughter, whom I love, is doing this. I don't get it. I don't get it. I said to Harvey, I swear to God, our family was cursed. Absolutely cursed. And I don't know how to take care of it anymore. So,
Another way that this web sticks to you is because you don't know how to create healthy boundaries with your family. You also don't know how to say no, and you don't ever want to encounter conflict. So you see things like someone ending a marriage without even discussing it with their spouse, like what Wendy did. She waited until Dan was out of town. She filed those papers secretly. She had already sneaked around and taken parenting classes that she was required to take before Dan had even left town. She'd been thinking about this for a long time, but she couldn't confront him about it. And Donna brings it up as a slight to Wendy too. In her emails, she says that they're all in this mess with Dan because, Wendy couldn't say no and stand up to him in the first place. Emotional contagion happens because all the members need to absorb all the other members' feelings and become responsible for them. And if they don't do things to fix them or fix the system in itself, they've caused other members even more pain, emotional burnout, exhaustion, stress, high blood pressure. Interestingly, when enmeshment happens between a narcissistic mother and her daughter, the daughter often presents with a fear of intimacy.
We married when I was in my mid-20s, when I thought I could cheat the system and marry a man I lacked passionate love for because, hey, didn't that die anyway during marriage? I saw his intellect and big heart and thought he would make a wonderful father for my children.
And in the case of a narcissistic mother with an enmeshed relationship with her son, that usually presents as having overly intimate conversations and being too close.
No, we were downstairs eating outside. Like, I hadn't seen him in like 2-3 years, and I made that bet with Wendy. How many things I can ask him about himself before he
when you finally picked you and said stop already?
Mom, I was at 34.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I got 34 one-word answers. Like, dude, I haven't seen you in like years. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's actually in the last 5 years, the only contact I've had with him.
Yeah,
so you think, and I remember walking to the Continuum and the black guy that's sitting there goes, "Hey, Charlie, how's your day?" I'm like, that's a better greeting than my brother that I've spoken to in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, go figure, Honestly, there's something wrong. I don't know what it is. I'm not a psychiatrist. I cannot analyze.
It's
there's
definitely. But he could turn it on and off. Like, it's not like,
yeah,
the
and
thing
that's
is,
why I say to Dad, I don't predict anything, but I have this feeling that one day Haritha is going to get the brunt of this, just the way he gave it to us. If he can turn off feeling like that, oh, well, there's something wrong with him.
So where does the golden child of a narcissistic parent and an enmeshed family system end up? Well, they have a very good chance of becoming and repeating this often transgenerational pattern. So if you like this video, please take a moment to share, comment, like, and or subscribe. I really appreciate you. I want to end the video today with a clip from Wendy's writing class. The prompt she was given was, what is the story that you tell yourself about your mother? Thanks for watching.
I'm so many of the things I am because of who my mom is and who she wants me to be.